Hey, Dr. Karen Can here. Welcome to another edition of the Spiritual Medicine Digest, where I'm going to be giving you kind of like what's the spiritual news for this week. What's going on? Well, the exciting news is that humanity is going through a massive detox right now, healing crisis, if you will. This can be uncomfortable for some emotionally as well as physically for certain people. We're in as of this recording, we are in the ascension resistance phase. This is where entities clear from multiple timelines and so on and so forth. So sometimes I get the little hints like something needs to clear, it needs my attention because some electronic glitch will occur. And it'll be very brief and sudden. In the past, I used to think it was like all entities messing with my electronic equipment, which years and years and years ago, that was true. And that's why I had to find out how to do electronic equipment clearing, entity clearing, which I don't think too many people talk about. But lately, if there is some sort of electronic glitch, it's usually my God team or angel team kind of like giving me a hint like, hey, we have a little job for you, you know? So you might ask, like, why do humans have these jobs, have these spiritual jobs? Like, why doesn't like our God team or angel team just go ahead and just heal everything for us, right? Like, why even bother getting us involved? Well, the point is that we are each a fractal of God source, having an experience in a human body in this case, and that experience includes an evolution that bring to consciousness who we really are, the source within. So if everything was done for us and it was super easy, we wouldn't grow. And I have to say, I do agree with that saying that growth comes at the edge of your comfort zone. So it is good to start getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. So this week has been very uncomfortable for a lot of people, including myself. There have been a lot of videos on YouTube and Facebook about the possibility that this coronavirus pandemic is really a plandemic, meaning that it was some secret government or elite that have been purposefully creating this pandemic in order to get people in fear, in order to control them, in order to get them to acquiesce to mandatory vaccinations, which in this case apparently has to do with kind of this invisible tattoo and electroporation, which is interesting because I just talked to Dr. Dennis last month about electroporation, and also my one of the trainings I did talked about how the cell membrane, if you vibrate it with electricity or other means, that you can make the cell membrane more porous and you can inject things into it. So you can do gene therapy, but you can also inject, not so nice things as well. So there's been a lot of videos on there about the concerns related to, sovereignty and freedoms, and then maybe people won't be able to go to work or go shopping or do anything really unless they have mandatory vaccinations. And this tattoo and or microchipping, that kind of thing. So it's been very, very uncomfortable this week, especially as people wrestle with the possibility that that could come to play. Now, here in America, where I live, 80% of people in America have guns. And I did a Facebook Live, last week about how one of the key telltale signs that you are being distracted from what's really going on behind the scenes is pro and against things, like things where you get to argue with your neighbor or your family members, right? So if you start getting that, know that you're being manipulated. And know that, okay, wait a second. Okay, I'm getting into that space. So what's really going on? And really be curious about what's really going on behind the scenes. So there was a mass shooting in Canada, and apparently Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, put a ban on several types of guns. And of course, the pro and anti-gun started fighting again online on Facebook. And these are friends, and family members fighting with each other. So that was pretty much, that happened like the day after I put up the Facebook Live to watch out for that. So since I didn't put it up on YouTube, I did want to just reiterate that we do have to be careful about that, because when we're in fear, when we're in anger, and when we're fighting against each other, the powers that be that may be trying to take our sovereignty or our freedoms away can kind of get away with it because we're too busy fighting amongst ourselves. So we want to watch for that and get back into that place of peace. There's always another side to the story, you know. I've been a pacifist for pretty much all my life. However, I can see the reason behind 80% of Americans having guns. Now, I used to think, well, gee, you don't want to, why do you need guns to hunt, right? I mean, yeah, you need guns to hunt, but I mean, you don't need that kind of gun to hunt. But then I realized that it was actually based on the history of America, where the right to bear arms is really about being able to protect yourself against a fascist government. And I was like, oh, that's what it's for. That kind of makes sense. And, there's some energies related to that that's going on right now. Now, do I really think that this is going to be a whole world takeover? I mean, I think that there's some sort of plan like that. Certainly when I speak to God about it, here's the cool thing is that if I can get into a place of peace, like everything's going to happen the way it's supposed to happen for the highest and greatest good, and it's there to serve me, okay, which is a really great place to be energetically, then the more accurate the answers that I get. Because I remember, a few years ago, right, when Donald Trump first became president, I was disappointed because I didn't want him to be president. I didn't think he was a highly conscious person, a very highly conscious person. And at the same time, I had prayed and asked for whatever's for the highest and greatest good of all. And so I double checked after he got elected, and asked God and the angels, I'm like, really? That's for the highest and greatest good of all? And I got the answer, yes. I mean, but did he have a highlight score? No. Was he highly conscious? No. But on some level, it was for the highest and greatest good. I'm like, okay, let go. My other healer friends some of my other healer friends, on the other hand, were freaking out. Okay. And I got a little miffed at them because I was like, guys, we are here to hold the energy of love, okay? And you are totally depressed and anxious and can't sleep because Donald Trump is now our president. Really? Come on. You have to hold the energy. That is your job. Anyway, so I got my point across to them. And I know some people are so upset, but oh well, it is what it is. So one of the interesting things I've been doing is just going into stillness multiple times a day and practicing that and see what comes through as messages for me. Now, a lot of people have been private messaging me with various different videos. And of course, most of my tribe are in that group of, natural healing, natural medicine, sovereignty, don't want to be microchipped, don't want to have mandatory vaccinations. They want to have a say in their healthcare, those types of folks. They've been sending me lots of videos. And it was really interesting because at the beginning I was like, nope, yes, no, yep, no, and not really watching a lot of these because some of them were very negative, didn't have a high truth score, that kind of thing. Didn't even bother with the time in spending it. Lately, however, it's been more like, I'm in that place of peace, calm, and go click, and I just watch it. And I thought, that's really interesting, Karen. You're just like, oh, let's watch this one. Let's watch, And so one of these was the Plandemic movie. Now what was really interesting was it was on YouTube, and I thought, not for long. And sure enough, I think it took about 30 hours before they took that one away. And so every single YouTube video that I have watched, and most of them have been medical doctors or healthcare practitioners in the field, sharing their opinions. I recently saw one from a cop as well. Very, very interesting. And one by one, they got censored. And I was like, wow. There's a lot of other stuff that's on YouTube and Facebook that is like totally inappropriate and that doesn't get censored. But this does because it doesn't follow a party line. This is, supposed to be dangerous for people to think for themselves and think that maybe the government isn't perfect and things like that. That's kind of like a fascist regime, right? Yeah, like Nazi, like communism, kind of sort of like that. So you might get pissed off at this video that you're watching, especially if you're a mailing list. If you unsubscribe, I totally understand. Okay. However, I did watch that first vignette and the Plandemic movie, and I felt it was really well done. And if it wasn't, I think that the old MD me would have said, oh no, this can't be true. This can't possibly be true, right? I mean, the government's got our best interests at heart. My medical association's got my best interests at heart. They got patients' best interests at heart, that kind of thing. And it wasn't until I started watching documentary after documentary after documentary, interviewing, some of these whistleblowers on my radio show, interviewing these doctors that did all this research on vaccines, which I did not have time to do, honestly. I really did not. I was practicing physician, totally busy. I don't have time to sift through so many papers. You know what I mean? I'm like, look, the association says vaccines are safe. Okay, I'm just going to go with that, right? But I'm watching these documentaries, and then one point was made in one of them called the For the Greater Good, about the Gardasil vaccine and other things. But they made the point that the CDC whistleblower Andrew Wakefield, people at the CDC actually messed data up. I mean, they literally contorted the data so it didn't look so bad. Some of these things, and then when we actually looked at the amount of thimerosal, mercury-containing ingredients in the pediatric vaccines, it was way above what's considered even safe for adults. And I was like, they didn't tell us that. Here I am injecting all these vaccines in these little kids, years ago, and I didn't think twice about it. I didn't even question it. So it's because of those things in my personal experience that now I'm more wary about just some organization or authority figure just blanket telling me this is what should happen for the highest good, And then I saw a video by Tucker Carlson on Fox News, and I got to tell you, I actually was I used to make fun of Fox News. Okay, so sorry, Fox News. Sorry. Anyway, so because I used to think they were ridiculous. This is when I lived in LA. So, but I'm watching this Tucker Carlson. I go, I like this guy. Very interesting. So he had a show about how the people that were telling us not to go outside, to put the masks on, all that kind of stuff, were not following their own rules. So Governor Cuomo's, son, who's been on vlogging about his COVID-19 and how he's suffering and he's at home and all this stuff. Well, he was caught going to a gym, no mask, no gloves, right? And somebody filmed him. And he called him a effing whatever idiot, right? And then somebody else was was going to his mistress's house, even though he was diagnosed with COVID-19. That's pretty irresponsible, right? And then the worst part, I think, for me, was seeing the Canadian Prime Minister. I'm Canadian, live in the U.S. Seeing the Canadian Prime Minister use Jesus's name during Easter, okay, and said, what would Jesus do? Jesus would stay home and not see family, basically, he said. All right? Okay, and then we find out through Tucker Carlson that he went to Quebec and saw his family at a lake house over Easter, and he told everybody else not to travel for Easter. That is hypocrisy, and that did trigger me. That pissed me off, and I was thinking, wait a second, what would Jesus do? You know what Jesus would do, dude? Jesus would frickin' heal everyone. That's what Jesus would do. And Jesus went to the lepers, right, and healed them. Jesus is not going to stay at home, okay? I was like, anyway, sorry, got a little emotional there. Okay, like I said, I got triggered. Okay, back to stillness. All right, there I go. Okay. So check it out for yourself. Use your own discernment. Use your heart to decide. If you feel like this is too stressful for you, then obviously you've probably shut me off by now. That's fine. But if it's too stressful for you, then don't. Take care of your heart, take care of your being, take care of your peace. So those of us that are in high responsibility situations, that may not be our job where we get money from, but spiritual responsibility, right? Have that responsibility to understand what's going on and then do something about it on the energetic and spiritual level. And that is my job. And that is why I'm sharing it with you in case it resonates with you. If you only get into personal inner peace and you really don't want to know it, that is awesome. If you can get into and stay in and just keep touching into that stillness, keep doing that meditation, you ignore all the news, ignore everything that I'm saying, other people saying, and you stay in peace, you're already contributing to a big degree. Why? Because in the quantum reality that we live in, the more people that are vibrating at a higher level of consciousness, the world actually starts to change. They've proven this in science through random event generators, like, and in studies where, you get 1,000 people in a city that's, all these murders and all these things going on, right? And you get 1,000 people to meditate together and be in that space of peace, the murder rate goes down, the crime rate goes down, right? And these other people don't even know that they're meditating. So, I mean, there's data behind that. So your job is to be in peace as much as you can. Take care of yourself, take care of your family. Okay, now I'm in that space where, I've got food on the table, I've got money coming in, I'm safe, I got a roof over my head, that kind of thing. So I have that time and that availability to take care of some of these other things energetically. So on a daily basis, I've been allowed to do certain amounts of healing on mass consciousness, humanity, certain countries, the media, interestingly, the so-called secret government, which apparently there must be something, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to heal it. Anyway, so some of that and certain individuals that are in the news, we put transmutational bubbles around them, so they're going to be less infected or affected by entities who they are attracting, and so on and so forth. And sometimes I don't get a say to do a particular healing because I can't take responsibility for the entire world. People have to do their own work. So there are certain things that I'm not allowed to heal, and that's okay. But every day I do this work, just so you know, for all of us. And the really cool thing is we found out this week that one of the things healing from all of humanity in the entire infiniverse, meaning all universes, which is pretty big to fathom, is the emotion of heartache, which I thought was really interesting. The emotional resonance of heartache got released from all of us. Okay, yes, we did do Topcan healing for that, but so I don't know if you actually noticed that. Did you feel something in the heart area shift? Did you feel a shift this week? So we did this on Wednesday afternoon at Eastern time, this healing for humanity. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The other thing that we did this week too, which again, you may have felt a big shift, and I asked my Light Warrior tribe to help me with that, is I was watching a show on Gaia, and I really like Gaia TV. This particular show is called Ancient Civilizations, and they talked about some of the tablets, the Sumerian tablets, what's written on them, and how they documented, the past, like 250,000 years ago, where apparently there was civilization, even though that's not what we learned in school, and just, some of the researchers in the space. And I thought was really interesting is that one of the researchers, Anton Park, talked about a vow. That it looks like through his research that humans made a vow to their gods, and these are not like God as in like source spirit God, but like physical, beings that they consider gods, to be enslaved, and that this vow is still with us today. Well, maybe not today, but, was still with us until this week, right? And then we did a concerted effort to erase, dissolve, and uncreate humanity's vow to be enslaved, and instead vow to have our own personal sovereignty and freedom. Cool. So you can do this as well. I mean, you can do a Topican healing directive. It would sound something like this. I now command that humanity's vow, or any vow myself or ancestors made related to enslavement, be dissolved and uncreated in the highest and best way, so that all humanity can experience sovereignty, freedom, and choice. Thank you. Yeah. So you can make it up. Okay, but you can just go within and just make that, cancel that old vow. And I think that'll help the whole collective do that. So that's the other thing we did this week that was super, super exciting. And speaking of ancient civilizations, they actually felt some of these gods were what we would call aliens. And so then I was guided to watch Stephen Greer's work. Alien, he has 3 alien movies. I've watched 2, the 2 more recent ones. One called Unacknowledged, where they talks about these covert operations covert space operations and alien operations. And then the other one is called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And what's really inspiring about his work is that he's understood that with higher consciousness, higher resonance, and meditation, we can have a friendly relationship with our ET friends. And there's lots of great footage if you want to see real ET, pictures and video. And one of the things he warned us is that there is a planned alien invasion to make the populace scared. So after the pandemic comes the alien invasion. Now, some people in the know of knowing this have known this for 20 years. It's new to me, so I'm sharing what's new to me. The cool thing is, here's the cool thing. So if there is a planned alien invasion, how would they do that? Well, they have humans have already reverse engineered alien spacecraft, so they can fly, alien-looking spacecraft, but human directed, and then they could pose a threat or try to tell us that there's a threat. And there's been lots of movies, right, that try to indoctrinate us in aliens are bad, aliens are threatening. Whereas Stephen Greer's work, he's done this for 20, 30 years. He said every single alien that they've been connected with have been peaceful. I'm not saying they're all peaceful, because I've dealt personally with aliens that are both peaceful and light and those that are dark. And when they're dark, they usually have entities, that are affecting them or infecting them, if you will. So here's the cool thing is we can ask for help, not just spiritual help, which is awesome. With our higher consciousness, less and less is allowed that's negative to happen to us as a collective when we raise our consciousness. That's a really cool kind of like rule. But the other thing too is, like, say there was like an alien invasion. Okay, that wasn't really alien, but human mock alien invasion, whatever you want to call it. So I'm thinking, hey, let's all meditate, call to our alien friends, and go help, right? Like, duh. They're just waiting we have to give them permission, because they're not going to go against the prime directive. So we have to give them permission and ask for help and say, hey, we need your help here, okay? Whether it be disabling, systems or weapons or whatever. I think they're there to help us. So this is going to be really, really cool. In the next year or two, I think we're going to see some pretty exciting things happening. And I'm excited. I don't know if you're excited to meet with our alien brethren. Besides, I think the evidence shows that we actually did not evolve from monkeys, which totally blew me away. Recently, I learned that from Greg Braden, that our second chromosome is like it's genetically spliced in there. Like there was no there's no way we could have went from where we were Homo erectus and blah 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 to Homo sapiens sapiens. It's just not possible. It's whoa, mind blown. Okay. Anyway, so watch that. That's Missing Links. That's the on Gaia TV if you want. So Plandemic movie. I'm supporting them. Stephen Greer's work, supporting them. So lots of interesting things this week. As we are in the resistance phase, this will still be a little uncomfortable for the next few days, but just keep that face, keep that, do your stillness exercises, do your meditation, be in peace. If you can hear all this potentially crazy, stressful stuff and then still be the eye of the hurricane, you are a very powerful force. So that reminds me of a couple of announcements. Number one is that on Tuesday, May 19th, I'm going to be doing a class called Stillness on the Fly. We're going to be teaching stillness through observing internal movement and how you apply that to your everyday life so you can do stillness while you're doing other things. Cool. This is going to be presented on the Learn It Live platform. And the reason is because they asked for teachers, because they are going to donate as many classes as they can, thousands hopefully, of classes to people struggling with the COVID-19 thing, whether that be healthcare workers, certain corporations or not-for-profit that are in there, working it, helping folks out. So I've put in the class. They asked me and I said yes, so I'm doing that class. And so if you'd like to do that class, it's $10 to support their efforts, our efforts into getting this training to as many people as possible And if you'd like to support that, I'd love that. It's $10 for the class, and you will have access to the replay afterwards, even if you can't make it live. So we'll put the link below that you can register. The second piece of announcement, super excited, is that Monday's radio show is a pre-recorded interview with none other than Tammy Mastroberti, author of this awesome book, The Universe is Talking to You. It's all about synchronicities and signs, how to have this conversation with your guide team, your angel team. And I just had a blast doing the interview. I'm sure you're going to love it too. So highly recommend this book. So get it now. Get it this weekend, ASAP. I think you'll absolutely love it. And then listen to the radio show on Monday at 12 noon Eastern. And if you can't make it, hey, the link is there, and you can listen to the replay when you're available. So I just want to share with you that, yeah, lots of stuff going on, but I have faith in you. I love you. God loves you. The angels love you. And just keep the faith. And, if this feels good to you to share, just go ahead and share it. Hopefully we won't be censored. Love you. Bye.